everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. The DRF race of the day from Thursday, April the 18th, race number 7 at Keeneland. We're going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Let's take a look at this field. High-level allowance runners. These are fillies and mares. It is an overflow field. We've got 12 in the body of the race, 3 also eligibles, and those also eligibles could come into play because a couple of these horses ran in the Giants Causeway back on April the 13th, including the number 12 Bling, and those horses might not be back on short notice.
Yeah, you wonder if they're going to want to wheel back here 5 days later. Listen, though, if they do, they're horses that you want to take very seriously. They're in particular Bling, who did draw the outside post, but man, this horse is pretty good and has a really nice win over this turf course already.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector. Remember, this pace projector will update automatically after scratches are announced. As of right now, it's a situation that could favor front runners with the 9 Your Socilia, the 5 Current Climate, the 1 Marissa's Lady, all expected to show speed. Now, if the 13 and the 14 get in, those horses automatically become part of the pace.
Yeah, that you want to wait for scratches here and see how all this stuff plays out, because you're right. The horses that are on the outside looking in right now, if they get into this race, it could change the entire complexion.
Marissa's Lady is the number 1, and she's one of several horses in this race that have been campaigning recently at Turfway Park, and I think you can make the argument that many of those horses are slightly better on the all-weather than they are on turf. All 6 of Marissa's Lady's wins on synthetic or turf have come on synthetic. Last race just ran into a freak, Mike. That horse, BG's Warrior, just went right to the front, dominated the field on a fast pace, came back to win the Queen Stakes there with an 86 Spire. This horse did run well at Keeneland last fall.
Yeah, did. I mean, listen, this horse started out pretty good on dirt, switched to the all-weather, and it seems like that may be her best surface. There's only 2 turf starts, so, who knows if she's going to be quite as good on this surface. You can go 3 back. Course and distance here in October, a race, a pretty tough allowance race too that she was in. I don't know, Dan. I thought she ran okay in that race. I didn't love it. It kind of makes me feel like she's better on the all-weather, but certainly if she runs that 88 Buyer that she ran 3 back, I suspect she's pretty tough. And I really like this trainer. Lasix goes on now. There's enough to hold on to here.
And figures to show some tactical speed from the inside post. Shouldn't be too far away when they turn into the stretch. From Southern California is a strong contender. That's the 2, Benedict Canyon. We're going to take a look at this horse's most recent race going down the hill at 6.5 furlongs. And I just thought this trip didn't work out for her. There was a 3-ply speed duel from the start. Benedict Canyon was on the outside. You're going to see her eventually get the better of the 2 pace rivals, and then the race just happened to set up for the closers. Now she's turning back in distance, and I really, really, really like the way she won 4 starts back going 3/4.
I did too. It's also worth noting that one of the horses that she was dueling with there was the even money favorite, who finished well behind her in that spot. So she did run probably sneakily good last time. I'm with you. That win a few starts back going 6 furlongs, really strong performance. And it's all, listen, you're always worried that 6.5 down the hill, totally different race than these 5.5 furlong turf sprints. But this horse went 5 at Del Mar last summer and ran really well that day. Also, I think this horse is pretty dangerous in here.
Here's an interesting runner, the number 3, LJ's Emma, who earned a stakes win at Saratoga last year, pulling off an upset in the Galway, going 5.5 furlongs. They then ran her in the quirky course at Kentucky Downs, and she didn't need to like it. She kind of loomed boldly in that race before faltering, and then she ran once more at Keeneland. I didn't think she had the best trip that day. Now, she was listed as a vet scratch at Churchill on November the 3rd, must return off of a long layoff for a really good trainer.
Yeah, it's a layoff here, so we'll see if she's going to need one. But if she doesn't, and she's ready to go here, run close to her best, I expect her to be pretty tough in here, Dan. She's still lightly raced enough. She showed talent last year. I'm with you on that most recent start here when Bling beat her in October. I didn't love the trip she got that day.
Awesome Treat is the number 4, another one that's been campaigning recently on the synthetic surface. In fact, she's only raced once previously on turf. And if you want to give her an excuse for that race, you can. It was her first race off a fairly significant layoff. Her most recent start was the Queen. She caught BG Warrior. She got blitzed. Now the blinkers go on as well as Lasix.
Yeah, another horse. So you just kind of you have to guess a little bit as far as turf goes. It does kind of feel like she's just better on the all-weather surface. I guess the difference between her and the 1, Dan, Marissa's Lady, who has the sort of the same questions to answer in some ways, is that this horse is going to be a great price.
Current climate is the number 5. Jose Ortiz takes the mount. This is a course that has won on the turf. That was at Churchill Downs in a high-level optional claimer last year. Recently ran at Turfway in the Queen. Was just on a hard chase behind that fast pace and tired. I wonder if the pace scenario will be a little bit easier for her here, and she is proven on turf.
She is. That's true because she's another one. Maybe her best races are on the all weather, but she's run fine on the turf before. I'm very conflicted about this horse, Dan. I suspect she'll be a pretty good price in here, though. So I kind of wanted to leave her open. I know her first 3 turf starts, they were okay. I didn't like that race that she ran here at Keeneland last October. Maybe it's because it wasn't firm turf. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, man. But she did not run well that day.
It's a fair point. Some horses just do not run well over this Keeneland turf course. She's going to have to prove, and she's going to have to prove it against allowance horses. She did win that high-level optional claimer, which I thought was a weaker field at Churchill. Breeze Easy is up next. This is one of the horses that ran in the Giants Causeway 5 days before this race. It'll be interesting to see if she comes back. When she first came to the States and was trained by Christophe Clement, she showed some potential. She earned a couple of stakes placings, one of them graded. I just don't see the improvement since those races.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I got to admit, too, I was not a fan of hers when she was in New York with Clement. I know that she ran some good races and she hit the board against some good fields, but I just wasn't a fan of hers. I will say I did think she got better when they concentrated on shorter races first. So maybe this is what she wants to do. I don't know, Dan. I'm just not a fan of hers. And if she wheels back on short rest, I'm probably not betting her.
Time for an Angel is the number 7. She has raced mostly on the synthetic surface, whether it be at Woodbine or at Presque Isle Downs. Only 2 prior turf outings. Again, I guess you can make excuses. One was the career debut. Maybe she wasn't ready to fire. The other one, they ran her way in over her head going, what, 1.25 miles in the Wonder Ware Stakes. But she is going to have to deal with a little bit of a layoff. She faced a pretty nice horse last time out on the synth at Turfway, a horse that came back to place in a stake with an 83 buyer. I wonder if they're just prepping here.
I wonder about that too. I don't like horses generally cutting back in these races, although I do think the more you pull her form apart, she might just be better sprinting anyway. So maybe this is what they've got mapped out for shorter races this year. It's just kind of unfortunate, Dan. The last couple times we saw her in December, those were very bad performances.
Daring Do, the number 8, showed some potential in her first 5 starts for trainer Wesley Ward, including winning a stake for fellow 3-year-olds at Ellis Park, the Pea Patch. And I like how she did it. She had a pretty good trip that day, but she was able to sit off of horses and finish. Her one and only start at Keeneland during the fall meet was not a good performance. Wesley Ward, though, gave her a break, and I have a feeling she's going to come back more mature and stronger off the layoff.
I can see that happening too. I mean, the Keeneland race, I'm with you. She didn't run well that day. I didn't like that performance, but that was off of a layoff, and then she went right back to the sidelines again. So it just feels like maybe things weren't going well for her at that point. She's very lightly raced.
And unlike the 5, this horse has run well previously at Keeneland. That was during the spring meet. Your So Cilia is the number 9, a horse that's been running on dirt, a horse that's been running on synthetic. This is going to be a turf debut for the 5-year-old mare. She has good speed. We haven't seen her since November. If there are no scratches, there's a good chance that she can get away with at least a soft pace.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that's something that you want to take into consideration. You do have to wait for scratches, though, because if those horses on the outside get in, everything changes here. Listen, this horse was, 1 for 9 last year, but this horse had a really solid campaign. It just didn't happen to come on turf.
Jill Jitterbug is the number 10. She ran okay 2 starts back on turf at Churchill Downs, going 5.5, sort of raced in the second flight, swung widest at the 3/16, got up for second without never threatening the winner. They then ran her on the synth, which might be her better surface. She's 4 for 11 on that surface. She just didn't fire her best shot that day. So she's going to have to do it off of a layoff. If there's a hot pace, she's going to come with a kick.
Yeah, I think so too. And listen, she did again. Last time we saw her wasn't a good performance behind Marissa's Lady, but she wasn't embarrassed by that rival in a couple of previous starts. I mean, she was pretty close to her. So I don't know that there's that much separating them. And she's another horse who's going to be a big price in here. I don't know how good she is on turf or if this is her surface, but she'll be a fair price.
Rusty My Brother is the number 11. The last time we saw Rusty My Brother, she went gate to wire, although she got a pretty easy pace at Presque Isle Downs on their all-weather surface. That field has not come back very strong just yet. She's now going to have to return off of a layoff on a completely different surface as she makes her turf debut, and the pace might actually be hotter.
She was one of the surface switchers who I thought was a little bit more difficult to make a case for. Dan, she just hasn't run that one race that you can point to that suggests she's going to be tough in here. Another horse, though, I guess she could get forward in here if there are no scratches.
And if Bling does decide to wheel back on short notice for trainer Victoria Oliver, she's one of the ones, even though she must break from an outside post, because just look at her form. Synthetic, stakes winner, turf, graded stakes placed. She can do it all on the lead from off the pace. She's very tough in here if she runs, but she's going to have to run on short rest at a short price.
We'll see if they come back. You're right. You're not going to get any value if they do decide to run back here. But I think if they decide to come back, it suggests that everything's good with her, and I think she's the horse to beat.
And of the three also eligibles, to me, the 14 Shoot Out the Lights is the most interesting. She's got a lot of early speed. She's won on turf. She's won on dirt. She just doesn't race very often. She's a 4-year-old filly with only 5 starts coming off of the layoff. She beat a pretty good field at Saratoga on the lead 2 starts back. That runner-up came back to win with an 88 buyer, then was stakes placed.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. I don't have this horse in my picks when they get up there, but if she winds up getting into the field, I would definitely be using this horse.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time. This is a very competitive race, scratches or no. You're going with Benedict Canyon. I can certainly see it. This horse doesn't necessarily need the lead to win. If the pace is slow, she's going to be up there. If the pace is not, she's likely going to sit a very good trip in the second flight.
That's exactly how I looked at it, Dan. She's one of the horses in here. I think she fits very well in this field, but they may not bet the race that way. She's a very good price on the morning line. I think she's underrated.
I'm hoping for a little bit of a price on Current Climate. She's at least won on the turf. And her last race, she was on a really hard chase behind a sharp pace-setting winner. I think she can handle turf, and I think she can sit just off the pace as well. So I'll go with Current Climate. 212, 3 and 1 for Mike. 514 if the 14 gets in I want to use. 1 and 10 for me in your DRF Thursday race of the day. It's a beautiful Keeneland. Good luck.